Welcome to Madison City Channel's Know Your Candidates interviews, co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Dane County. I'm your interviewer, Eve Galanter, and I would like to introduce Tommy Rylander,
Hello.
running for Dane County Board Supervisor for District 12.
Nice to be here.
Welcome. As we begin, please give an opening statement about the educational, vocational, and civic experience you have, which prepares you, and why are you running for county board?
Sure. Well, I've been in the job 2 years now. I won my seat in 2024. Prior to that, I still work for the Department of Health Services, certifying hospitals and other healthcare providers. Prior to that, I was a political organizer and a legislative aide to State Senator John Lehman, Democratic senator out of Racine. I've been on the board 2 years now. I am the vice chair of the Health and Human Needs Committee. When I ran on a very environmental platform, and so I was hoping for the environmental committee, but then I got the Health and Human Needs Committee, and it's really become apparent to me that that's where I belong as a resident of the 12th district, representing those social services that come from our district and providing a voice from our district on those issues. I ran initially because I wanted to make sure that that my neighborhood had a sense of community and that my neighborhood had a voice. And I feel like people in East Madison feel like maybe they are ignored when it comes to issues such as F-35 noise or pollution or things like that. And I wanted to make sure that I got to know my neighbors and I got to know what they needed and was able to transmit that to the board.
Well, how should the county address the significant budget deficit that's expected for the 2027 budget?
Yeah, so obviously we dealt with a $31.5 million budget shortfall this last time around, which was very significant, and that was handled through making a decision as to, county government, especially county government, is mostly people. So unfortunately, there had to be a decision about how will the people who work for this government feel these cuts, because they are not going to be, this isn't nipping and tucking, we're not going to be able to do it in ways that are that aren't going to cause pain. Unfortunately, I think the fact that we have to do it 2 years in a row means we need to come up with some more solutions this time around, because we did balance this last one a lot on the back of our public employees. There were furloughs. There was talk of changes to their healthcare plan. I'm committed to a solution that doesn't involve more of that pain for our county employees, and that means that we've picked a lot of the low-hanging fruit for this next time around, or the lowest hanging fruit at the very least. We saw, department heads changing software and determining that they didn't need this particular program, or that this position, somebody retired and they don't really need that person. We had some very creative solutions from our department heads, but those are exhausted. So this time around, I think we're looking at, number one, taking a look at the contractual arrangements we have with over 400 organizations in Dane County. Most, maybe all, of them are serving a deep purpose in 2026 and moving into 2027. But we need to take a look. If a program's been there for 20 years, is it more helpful to the people of 2006 than it is to the people of 2026? And if it's no longer as useful as it once was, then we need to look at changes or ends to that program, because we can't do any more harm to our county employees, because that is the competitive advantage we have in the marketplace, and also because we're good people. And I think one more thing we have to look at is that there's more of a work from home culture for a lot of our employees these days, and that means a reduced use of office space. And so I think we need to look at ways in which we can reduce our footprint, and I've already been in contact with, in my capacity as the Vice Chair of Health and Human Needs Committee, I've been in contact with Director Schluter of the Dane County Department of Human Services, and they're already under the process of looking into both of those things.
What specific ideas do you have to increase the supply and quality of affordable housing and to preserve existing affordable housing?
Yeah, well, the big great idea in this county is the Affordable Housing Fund, and we've done a lot, and I voted in favor of amendments to further fund the Affordable Housing Fund. And what that is it's money that we have available for a carrot and stick approach. But builders aren't building the housing. We have a housing crisis, and that housing crisis happened in the private sector. Builders weren't building enough for the boom in population here in Dane County. We're looking at by 2050, I think I've seen one projection, 887,000 people. So the Affordable Housing Fund is money we can lend out, we can use, we can give, but we attach strings to it. A certain percentage of the housing you build needs to be units that will be given out to people with a certain percentage of income of the poverty line. They need to be one-family units, one-bedroom units, two-bedroom units, things like that. We get to not only incentivize the goal, the regional housing strategy's goal of building at least 7,000 units a year, and mold that goal to what we need here in Dane County, and that's a whole variety of housing, because while affordable housing is appropriate or is important, mostly just building anything is important, because we are rapidly gaining more heads than we are roofs, and as long as that is the case, then landlords are going to have all the power. We have a lot of situations in Dane County where people have housing insecurity because they have a blemish on their rental record. And when an apartment comes open, that apartment's going to get 10 applications, and it's going to go to somebody else. And it's going to go to somebody else again and again and again and again, and you're not going to have any place to go. So using the Affordable Housing Fund to build, and not only build, but maintain and make accessible the housing that we do have, to use it to make sure that for instance, senior housing is a big lack in the county, but senior housing is no good to us if we're using old buildings, and those buildings aren't up to Americans with Disability Act codes, and they're not accessible in the ways that they need to be.
Well, what more, if anything, do you think the county needs to do to address the needs of our neighbors who are experiencing homelessness?
Well, and that's a very pertinent question in the 12th district. We currently house the temporary men's shelter on Zaire Road.
Mm-hmm.
That shelter sees sometimes upwards of 375 people a night, especially on the couple of cold nights we've had, the week's worth of cold nights we've had over the last week. And the purpose-built men's shelter on Bartolon Road is having and the way it's built in a very trauma-informed way. But with the way it's built with pods and individual sleeping spaces, it has a capacity of 250, and that's firm. So we passed money in the last budget, despite the fact that it was a very tough budget year, to make sure that we have a spillover shelter available, and that's currently going through. We're looking at the RFP process on there. Who can say whether or not it'll continue to be the location on Zaire Road or someplace else? But like I said, on a week we've had this last week, there needs to be someplace else to go, or to prevent loss of life and limb and fingers and anything else.
So when faced with making difficult, sort of controversial decisions, how will you ensure you're getting input from residents with a broad range of perspectives?
Sure. Well, right now I'm doing the very healthy process of going door to door and talking to. The goal is everyone in my district. The election's coming up a lot faster than I'd like to think it is, but there's nothing to say I can't continue the process after the election. But I've been talking, I'm getting a wide variety of viewpoints. I'm getting viewpoints from people who are in rentals, and I just had a long conversation with a gentleman at the door last night about how landlords have all the power in this county. And I've had other conversations with folks that say their taxes are too high, and other folks who would be taxed more if it meant X, Y, or Z service. So that process of talking to people one-on-one has been very instructional. Also, just listening to the folks who show up to testify. Like I said, the first plan A on the budget this time around was significant changes to employee healthcare plans. Mm-hmm. And that was a very reasonable way to go about this, because unfortunately, I think reason number one we find ourselves in this budgeting situation is the rising cost of employee healthcare. Governments are mostly people, and to buy healthcare for all of those people has skyrocketed over the last few years, and it has skyrocketed to almost the entire tune of the deficits we're looking at here. So there were big changes proposed to employee healthcare plans, and county employees came to us and they testified, and they said, we understand that there's pain to be dealt out here in this budget, and that it's not that there's no easy way out of it, but this is not the way that we want to proceed. And I think listening to them was very important, and I plan to continue listening to them. I was recently appointed, it's not official yet, but recently appointed to the county committee that's going to look at how we purchase healthcare for our employees moving forward. And we have a lot of work to do and a lot of understanding to come to in order to look at some sort of remedy for what is going to continue to be a ballooning cost every year due to a for-profit healthcare system that, frankly, is the laughingstock of the rest of the world, that is bankrupting this county year after year.
Please describe any other priorities for your term in office. If these include new or expanded programs, how would you propose to fund them?
That's a great question. I'm very excited. This is a very timely answer. We got a study back. We got results back from I don't know if you call it a pilot program or just a small pilot program to remediate PFAS, forever chemical pollution, over by the airport. There was a lot of use of firefighting foam there that contains these chemicals. They're very bad for us. They get in your drinking water and they don't leave. And we authorized a very small pilot program using a company called Orin Technologies out of Verona. It introduces microorganisms to the soil. Those microorganisms like to eat PFAS, and they cast off seemingly harmless organic compounds as a part of that process. They also need electricity to survive, and so we electrify the ground, and then when we want those microorganisms to stop helping us, we just turn that electricity off, and that's the end of it. And the results, and I did not expect this level of results, the results were a 99% reduction in those PFAS chemicals in that tiny area near what we call the Darwin site. So a priority for me would be to ramp that up. And when it comes to the budget, I don't know if that'll be included in the proposal or whether something like that would have to be an amendment. But everything we do has to come with an offset. We have to pass a balanced budget. And I don't want to say a couple of terrible budgets like this are an opportunity to express our priorities, but it certainly is a moment to express our priorities. I can't think of a lot of things in the county I'd be willing to cut, but the thing that I would be willing to offset for is absolutely that program.
What would you like to say to the viewing audience as we complete this interview?
Well, I just would like to say I've been at this for a couple of years now. I'm a couple of years wiser. I'm a collaborator, to be sure. When I don't know the answer to something, listen, this is a job where you will be confronted by anything on a given night, to how agricultural drainage tiles work, to beagle breeding, to funding our shelters, to different methods of drug treatment and justice system issues. Nobody who runs for this job knows everything. Calling folks, admitting what you don't know, and having a conversation with them in which you let them know that you need a further understanding of this issue, I think is the path to success in this job. And I'm a collaborator, and I'm willing to do that. I've lived in Dane County since '07. Me and my wife Brenda, my two kids Basil and Juniper, 10 and 12. Really love it here, and I really look forward to the opportunity to serve you for another couple of years.
Well, I want to thank Tommy Rylander for speaking with us, and thank the viewing audience for taking the time to know your candidates. I want to remind everyone that the primary election is Tuesday, February 17, and the general election Tuesday, April 7th. Every election is important. Please vote. On behalf of the Madison City Channel and the League of Women Voters of Dane County, I thank you for joining us.